It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
I want to play a game. Groovy.
Hello and welcome to the Sounds from the Grave podcast. My name is Yussef.
My name is Vania.
And do you want to play a game of hide and clap?
Yes, so we have to do it at least when we do play the game of hide and clap. We're only allowed 3 claps, so after the 3rd clap, you're on your own. But we're not here to actually play that over the podcast. We're actually going to be discussing something that is coming up very soon. But from the roots of this comes another movie that started it all, which is The Conjuring. So I am super excited for the new movie that's coming out. I feel like it's been forever, but we are going to be talking about the movie itself, where it all started. And hopefully maybe we'll do a Conjuring 2 review. We don't know yet. So how are you feeling about it, Yussef?
Oh, I'm excited for it. I figured, since the new one's coming out by the time this podcast episode comes out, it'll be Monday, so it'll be the weekend after it comes out. But yeah, so I figured it'd be cool to do an episode on it, and I personally haven't seen The Conjuring in a while, and I figured it was time to revisit and just get immersed into it again, because I remember really, really enjoying that movie.
Yeah, I actually rewatched it before recording this podcast because I actually also don't remember too much about it. I do remember seeing it in theaters for first initial reactions, that kind of thing. And then, of course, after The Conjuring came many sequels and spin-offs off of that. So, well, not many sequels, but spin-offs. You guys know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't think I'm going to see it this weekend, but hopefully next week I will probably end up watching it, because this weekend is super busy for the entire horror community. Well, not entire horror community, but more like HHN community, which is HHN at home. So by the time that this episode actually releases, I had already passed. But lots of giveaways, lots of contests, new content that's going to be put out, all HHN related. I feel like they're doing this as a halfway point to lead up to the event. So,
Yeah.
So hopefully next week I'll be able to watch it.
Yeah, hopefully I have the time to watch it. I was trying to watch it this weekend because it's on HBO Max, so at least I don't have to go to the theater to watch it.
Oh,
But,
I do have HBO Max. I'm gonna watch it in Coronado Springs. Psych.
Oh man. But yeah, I'm gonna be working or like busy during the whole HHN at home stuff as well. So hopefully I have time to watch it. If
Yeah.
not, then I have plenty of time to watch it still. I mean, it's on HBO Max. If you didn't hear me just now.
Yeah. Oh, well, I didn't know that, so thank you for that. Now I actually
Yeah.
feel like I don't have to go to the theater. I mean, I missed going to the theater, but I also heard at Cinemark, I think in City Walk, all the movies, even the new ones that have been released, are $5. So crazy deal. That's what I saw on Twitter. I feel like it's still going on. This is also including new movies. So if you are in the Orlando area and City Walk just happens to be near you, go get the new movie for $5. So
There you go.
not too bad. So
Yeah, it's a good time then to watch Quiet Place Part 2. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it yet. It's very, very good. I really liked it.
me, I still haven't watched it, but that's because I meant to watch it yesterday, but I got caught up in doing some stuff. But I'll probably watch it tomorrow or something. But I also am working on stuff tomorrow. But that's for you guys to find out on my HHN Cultist YouTube channel. So I feel like we've done enough blabbering. So let's actually get to the actual movie review.
Yeah. So like before we dive deep into the actual movie, we did have a couple of like little bits and pieces of background info as well as some trivia to discuss to like throw in there. So you guys, if you didn't know about this stuff, now you do. So we're gonna start off with who directed this movie, who I'm a huge fan of. That is James Wan. He is most well known for the Saw movie, the first Saw movie, Insidious Chapters 1 and 2, and Dead Silence, which is one of my favorite horror movies.
Same for me.
And also, of all things, he made Furious 7 and Aquaman.
Striving away from that just a little bit. I'm mad. I'm so upset
Why?
that they're releasing another Fast and Furious movie. Stop,
Yeah.
please.
Apparently, this is like, I think this has already been confirmed. This is supposed to be the beginning of a new trilogy, but that's going to end the series. So they're going to do another 2 movies after this one, and that's how it's going to end.
That's what they said for the past 3 movies.
Yeah, that's true. Literally every trailer for Fast and Furious has said one last ride. And I'm
One
like,
last ride.
this is your
How
last
many
ride.
rides?
Keep going.
No, and one last ride on each and every car.
We
One last ride on the Lamborghini. One last ride on the
And apparently now it's one last ride on the magnet cars.
oh my god.
Ridiculous.
But yeah, so that is kind of awkward that he kind of directed Furious 7.
Yeah,
But
that's
hey,
weird.
it is what it is. Aquaman. I actually still haven't watched Aquaman because I heard that it is very cheesy.
Oh, it is, but
It
it's like
is super
in a-
cheesy, but the effects are great.
Yeah, it's like cheesy in a good way, because like, I mean, it's Aquaman. You can't really be too serious when it comes to Aquaman, but so I'm okay with the cheesiness. It's kind of its charm.
But like Aquaman, like he's gorgeous. He's Jason Momoa. How can you not take him seriously? Like, how do you expect me to take his jokes seriously when I'm just gonna be thinking through a whole nother level in my head? But we're not gonna discuss that here. This is The Conjuring. We're supposed to be scared. Yay!
But yeah, another little piece of info here. It is based on a true story from the case files of Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were, I think right now Lorraine is alive. I think Ed passed away, but they were a demonologist couple. And our next little piece of info, this one's just a quick one. It was released in 2013. I did not realize this movie was already 8 years old.
It came out literally the year before I graduated, so I probably remember seeing it with some friends. I just don't know exactly where or when. I just know that it was like the first initial reaction of when the first movie first comes out and everybody's watching it, and there's always like people screaming in the theater and that kind of thing. So I remember at least the initial reactions for the movie for sure. Another observation I also did in the beginning of the movie is that the writing looks very similar to The Exorcist. So I was like, damn, this is like another thing that could lead to another classic film of our time, technically. So, like, basically how people in the 80s and the 70s, like, already had The Exorcist. For us, it's The Conjurings, because everybody knows the movie now, and
Oh, yeah.
probably everybody has seen it, so...
I mean, it is, it did start this huge franchise with like the sequel, the upcoming sequel, the 3 spin-offs. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, there's 4, because there's like The Nun, and then there's like the whole Annabelle trilogy.
The Annabelle trilogy, and I feel like there was one more. Well, there's La Llorona, but we're not gonna... No, let's not talk about that one.
Jeez, I forgot that Llorona was part of that universe.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that. Wow.
I mean, it's nice when you're trying to see Velma try to combat an actual paranormal thing, but Velma doesn't do much, but hey.
Still, as soon as you said the first thing I thought of was Universal, Spooky Island. We're still waiting.
Yeah.
Every time we reference Scooby-Doo, we're gonna say Universal, Spooky Island. Where it's at.
Yeah. I mean, they might as well. But yeah, so yeah, that's a lot of the kind of like the icons of Conjuring. A lot of people remember about this movie is like The Nun and Annabelle the most, which is why I think it's interesting because I feel like a lot of people really wanted a origin story on Annabelle, including all the houses she has ever been with, all the haunts that she has done, and of course the actual origin of the nun as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to kind of talk more about those, but that's going to be other podcast episodes later on in the future.
Mhm.
But right now we're still talking about the one that started it all.
Yes.
So we also have some more trivia here. And Vanya, if you want to start us off with our first little bit of trivia.
So the first piece of trivia is that the movie was actually shot in chronological order. So this means like in the film industry, it means like it was just shot the way that you see it in the movie. And I think that's actually really cool because not a lot of movies do that. Normally they do just one scenes in one day, other scenes in another, depending of course on weather or and sets and all that stuff. But yeah, that it's really cool that they were able to shoot it in chronological order. Another piece of trivia is that the Hayes brothers and Lorraine Warren, the real life demonologists, would chat on the phone about the script and they kept getting cut off by weird noises and a lot of static. Then, out of nowhere, the line would just suddenly go dead. So, I feel like there were some spooky spooks that didn't want their stories to be told or anything that may interfere, which makes me wonder if it's the actual spirits that they keep in their museum or their house where they keep all the artifacts and all that, or if it's just more hauntings, kind of like a poltergeist kind of occurrence where there's like it's a cursed thing now because of that they did that film kind of that way.
Yeah,
And then
that's some pretty cool stuff. Like it's kind of creepy, like just talking about it on the phone, and all of a sudden, like you hear weird like noises and stuff like that. I'd be like, can we just do this face to face, like not over the phone type of thing?
wonder why she didn't even want to meet up. Like was there a
Oh
reason?
no, I mean she was there. Like she was even on set when they were filming stuff. But I think it's like when they were doing like pre-production and like prepping the script and everything. I think that's when they were chatting over the phone with her.
Oh, that
Yeah,
would make sense.
yeah,
I'd be like, wait, wouldn't you want to make sure that everything's just as accurate
yeah. She was because
as
she went.
possible?
Yeah, because she was on set and she said it was like being in a time machine because like it was exactly how she remembered it. Because they
Very
actually like when
cool.
they were building the house, they actually were using like they were using the pictures for reference, like the pictures that they took during like the reporting and stuff.
Oh, nice.
So it's
I
like
didn't know that.
it's like as accurate to the original house as possible.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool, though. I mean, the fact that she was even to work on it and being able to tell her story is definitely super awesome. And a lot of people who are involved in real life, like based on true stories, normally something always gets twisted up in the script or something is always added for an extra effect. But definitely, it's definitely a one of a kind production for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so another thing is that this was the first film directed by James Wan that did not involve Leigh Whannell in any way.
Which
So,
is very strange to me because they were like a filmmaking like team. Because I mean they
yeah.
made Saw together, they made the Insidious movies together, they made Dead Silence together. And I know Lee Winnell directed the third Insidious, and it was written by him, and I think produced by James Wan. So they're like, I mean, they were like filmmaking friends in Australia, like for like the longest time.
But is there a reason why she didn't want to get involved?
I think it's because Lee Winnell at the time was working on the script for the Insidious movies, so I think he was busy on those.
That would make sense. I mean, and that I feel like those are the two movies right now that are taking basically our generation by storm, which is like basically The Conjuring and Insidious. I thought maybe for a second they might have been like competition because like Insidious has like movie after movie after movie, kind of just the very same way as Saw, but the fact that after working on Conjuring, there's more spin-offs. So I guess since they have worked together, it's not so much of a competition, but more like kind of like a legacy that they're like leaving in a sense.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, yeah, it's definitely that. It's like almost like their version of the Universal Monsters, where it's like all these movies under one roof type of thing.
Absolutely. And then another thing is that, as you guys know, the stereotype for a horror film, we've got to have sex, we got to have nudity, there's got to have profanity. But no, this movie does not have no sex, no nudity, little profanity, tame and mostly bloodless violence, and brief depictions of alcohol, no smoking, yet received an R rating, and this was solely for the scare factor alone. So I believe it. It still kept me on the edge of my seat first watching it and rewatching it. Still did the same thing, but I think that's really interesting for the fact that the way that the scale for film, the R rating is for a lot of that, and but it's just something scary is like baffling to me. So that's
like if I was a filmmaker, I'd be using that as like such a big selling point. Like, my movie is so scary that it was literally rated R because it was too scary.
I believe it. I mean, it's just the fact that I feel like at this point, and especially in a time like 70s, like, or late 60s, early 70s, and where there's like drugs and all that kind of crazy hippie shit, and like none of that's depicted. But I feel like Lorraine Warren would have witnessed a lot of that, but I guess that's not what happened. So good on them for the R rating, for the scare factor, and nothing to get the excitement of that stereotypical horror crowd. So that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the last piece of trivia is that director James Wan was working on the script one late night, and he had just adopted a new puppy who started staring at the supposed empty side of the room and began to growl aggressively. Wan stated that the dog's head then followed something across the room, but he did not see anything. And that's creepy. I mean, I feel like dogs see things that the humans can't. I've definitely experienced that with my dog, so I don't blame him. Especially if you're calling upon working on something that's calling upon demons that have been dealt with before is definitely a scary thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, you know, you're right. Like, dogs have kind of like that sixth sense. Like, they do it during hurricanes and like earthquakes and stuff like that, and you know, apparently they can do it with paranormal occurrences.
Yeah.
Which just brings to mind my two dogs right now, because yesterday they spent the better part of 2 hours trying to catch a fly
Oh.
that got into the house, and it was the funniest thing because like they're like looking all over the place, their eyes are just darting everywhere, and it looks like, if you don't pay attention, it literally looks like they're seeing demons and ghosts everywhere.
Yeah, but I guess it was just a fly. Are you
Yeah.
sure it wasn't a ghost?
No, it was a fly because we caught it.
Ah, okay. Darn. We would have validated this point, but he had to ruin it. But yes. But yeah, that's a lot of interesting information that I didn't even know about. So that's really freaking cool.
Oh
So.
yeah, definitely.
hmm So now I feel like we're just gonna get into the actual meats of the Conjuring movie. Basically, starts with the Ed and Lorraine Warren having to talk to these. I feel like it was
I think
nurses.
Yeah, it was two nurses.
Two nurses, and they were talking all about Annabelle. So of course, I feel like we all believe that this story is going to be revolving more around Annabelle, but I guess this is more the introduction of like famous cases that they have worked upon, and I feel like if they keep this up, they can make many more movies with many of their cases for years to come, especially since there's so much content out there for them about all these artifacts that they have in their museum. So then they start talking about Annabelle, and then we finally get the introduction of Ed and Lorraine Warren, what they do for a living, that kind of thing. And then we are introduced to the family. I think of four daughters
It was like
and just an
five.
ordinary couple. Or five.
Oh, I don't know. The two.
I
It
feel like
was
I feel
too
like oh
many.
no, it
It
was
was
four.
too
It was
many.
four. But because there was April. There was. Oh, dang! I love how I just watched the movie and these names escape me. But anyway, um,
Yeah, there might have been 4 or 5. I just remember it being too many. Like that's too many kids.
too
Period.
many, too many girls, too many. Um, so as every stereotypical horror film goes, is that there's a family moves into a new house. Looks vintage. They got to do some remodeling. Apparently, this family also bought the house at an auction. No history of who the previous owner was.
Yeah, exactly.
It was kind of just hidden under the rug, and that's when shit went like hit the fan. So their very first night, I hated. Um, because it was just like the girls were getting to know the place, and then they finally hit the nighttime. They put the girls to bed, and I think one of the girls starts to hear something. But the
Um,
thing that I remember the most is that the clocks were always at 3:07.
yeah. So I think it was at like their first night is when they're playing hide and clap, and they find the cellar that it was kind of closed
Yeah.
off. And of course, the immediate thing they do is let's go into the cellar and see what this is all about. And they find a bunch of just random stuff that was like hoarded down there, and like a piano and that kind of stuff. And they're like, oh, we gotta clear this stuff up, but we'll wait. We'll do that some other time. And then they just rush
Yeah.
off to bed, and that's when you notice the clocks, all of the clocks, stop at exactly 3:07 a.m.
And they have a dog.
Yes. Oh,
They have a dog.
the poor dog.
They have a dog.
So yeah, the
I hate
first.
when horror films do this. I hate it. I hate it.
Me
Like,
too.
well, I'm just like, why? Why do you guys? Why can't y'all do this? Cats. I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm not a cat. I'm not a cat person. I love them. I think they're cute. They're little demons, but they're cute. But why is it always the dogs? I don't understand. HHN did it. Babadook did it. Now this movie did it. Like, please
Yeah,
stop.
especially because like I hate that they use the dog as like a warning sign. Because it's like, oh, the dog
Yeah.
like refused to go into the house, and then literally the next morning, the dog dies, and I'm like, come on.
He didn't refuse. Mom wanted to bring Sadie into the house, but the husband's like, she'll be fine because I tied her up to the thing, and
Yeah,
nothing's bad's gonna happen to her.
but
She's
like,
not gonna run
yeah,
away.
but like at
And then
first, like
one
he
of
would,
the
but at first he would like try to pull her leash or like her little collar, and she just refuses to move. Like she's like, I'm not moving from this spot. Like you can't make me go in there.
yeah.
And then he's
So
like, fine, I
then
guess I'll tie you up outside and stay there then.
one of the girls wakes us up in the morning. I mean, well, the mom wakes up with bruises. That's another sign. Notice that all the clocks had stopped exactly at 3:07 in the morning, and one of the girls was like, "I'm gonna go check on my dog. Give it some little lovin's, cuddles kind of thing." And then when the girl goes outside, the dog is dead. I'm just like, I'm crying. Yeah, I hate it when they do this, but it's always like almost like an animal sacrifice
Yeah.
before the actual sacrifice of what is to come later on in the film. So,
Hmm.
lots of spooky stuff happening already.
Yeah, and of course, in like the background story of like the family, the dad is a truck driver, so he has like this moment where he has to drive off, and he is just away from the house, and of course that's when shit starts to hit the fan. Like I think the first moment that it happens, or actually no, I think it's when the dad is still at the house. It's when one of the girls starts sleepwalking
Oh
and
yeah,
goes into the other girl's room and just starts like banging her head against this closet, and it's just like weird, you know.
Yeah. And then he slowly leads her off to bed, but of course there's always the ending camera scene where the closet is somehow just a teensy bit open. So giving us that suspicion that something is there, just we don't know exactly what.
Yeah. Oh, and
Um
also not to mention when I think it was that same like that morning of the second day when the girl mentions the older girl mentions the smell of rotting meat in her room.
yeah.
So that's like,
And then
ew.
I think that's the day that they also start heading off to school, correct?
Yeah, I think
Morning
so because
of.
that's when because that's when the mom and the smallest child are together like by themselves in the house.
Yeah, so the smallest child, I think, is April. I could be wrong. Has a little music box that just kind of goes round and round. It's all nice and stuff. And then, because the mom kind of hears the youngest one, like, what are you doing? Who are you talking to? And then the little girl says, Rory. And, who's Rory? And then it's like, if you play the music box and you look behind you, through the mirror, maybe he shows himself to you. So the mom kind of does that. It's one of those false jump scares where you're just very concentrated to see if you see it, but you're like, I want to look, but not really. And you're just kind of doing that weird, like, I don't know where to look kind of thing. And then the daughter scares the mom and says, I got you. And, apparently Rory doesn't want to show himself to the mom. So everything's all fine and dandy from there. So
Yeah. Well,
little,
actually, I think like right after is when they start playing between the two of them hide and clap,
oh yeah,
and the mom goes into the older daughter's bedroom, and she's like, oh, give me that clap, and the door of the closet opens, and two pairs of hands pop out and just do the clap clap, and you can clearly
yeah.
tell those are not little girl hands; they're like adult sized human hands, and it's weird.
Mhm. Oh shit! I just felt a chill right now, and I'm like, oh fuck. I'm sorry, angry spirit.
I could have been such a shit starter right now and be like, oh my god, Vanya, what is that behind you?
No, fuck you.
But I won't. I'm too nice for that.
I'm gonna watch
But
SpongeBob after this. But anyway, yeah, so there's adult hands coming out of the closet. Then the girl's like, I was actually in Nancy's room. And then the mother's like, I swear to God, I literally just heard claps coming from this closet, but it is what it is. More creepy
yeah.
happening.
I
So,
I think that like that's something I like about this movie a lot, how it starts off kind of like just little tiny things happening and then they start like getting progressively more intense.
uh,
Like it really
it's not like a
starts.
slow burn. It's not a slow burn
Yeah,
at
it,
all.
it definitely breaks up those little slower moments with something to be like, oh, what is that? I don't like that.
Yeah. So I think this is when we also start seeing a little bit of more of Ed and Lorraine Warren's life,
Yeah.
where they're like teaching at like some kind of, no, not that, it
Well,
was
when they
when
like get
the
called out to do stuff, and it's just like super simple human explanations for stuff, like when they step on a piece of wood, like all around the house, that like the people that live there here are like hearing echoes. They're like, oh my god, there it is. Do you hear it? And they're like, oh, it's literally just a leaky, like a rotted wood because of a leaky pipe. Like, stop.
yeah.
We know better.
Yeah, so I mean, they always have like, what I like about Ed and Lorraine Warren is that they actually, you know the difference between just paranormal activity versus just rational explanations that there
Yeah.
is in the houses, kind of thing. So we also do see that I think it was not a priest. It was like some friend of the church came over and started talking to Ed about Annabelle, like like saying, oh, like explaining basically what they do and all that. So I think that was a really like where we see a little bit more insight of each of those artifacts, and also Annabelle as well, especially like the way that we see Judy, which is Ed and Lorraine Warren's daughter, kind of fears Annabelle, stares at her from afar but doesn't dare to come near, kind of thing.
I mean, I would be terrified too. That doll is terrifying.
Well, the one in the movie is, and the one in real life is a Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah, which
Yay!
is I think it's because of like a rights like copyright thing. They couldn't have Raggedy Ann, so they were like, let's make our own puppet, and they just made a fucking nightmare of a puppet.
Oh yeah, and it's so weird because a lot of people dress up as Annabelle for Halloween, and
Yeah.
so it's a little unsettling sometimes. I'm like, what?
What's
Okay.
what's really cool about this set of scenes though is I like that it gives you some background on the Warrens, and it gives you a chance to like see Ed and Lorraine like outside of the whole demonology thing, just like as a married couple.
Yeah.
And I think that's so cute because they have like the actors have such a good chemistry, like, and the whole married couples things, like they're so adorable.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the lines were a little cheesy in between them.
Yeah, but it's
It
okay.
hit me hard. It hit me hard. I was like, "Oh, why are you saying that? Oh, we don't say that anymore." Oh, I get it. I mean, I get it, but it's like, but it is what it is. But you really do see them at their basically their peak kind of thing. As just regular old family, just
Yeah,
cruising along with the daughter and all that.
exactly. And like it's a nice little break from the family that's being haunted. So you can kind of see like the two, literally what both the families are dealing with, because you have the one that's going through a literal hell, and the other ones that are literally locking things back into hell.
Yeah.
That's a nice
Uh,
little like back and forth that they have.
it's a lot.
Yeah. But anyway, so then we move back on to our regular family. I think they were called like the parents.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
parents.
And I think we have like one of one of those weird occurrences. It's like when one of the girls feels somebody tugging on her leg.
Oh yeah,
And
and
that to
then
me is the most terrifying thing. Like
mhm.
that out of all the things, that is one of the things that freaks me out the most. Because I'm like, it's
Yeah,
my
I don't.
bed. I'm supposed to feel safe. Do not pull on my leg.
So whoever becomes a Yusuf's significant other, please do this. Thank you.
Don't do this.
Do that, please. You're doing me a favor.
Wow. Okay.
Um, no, it's like pull on his leg, quite literally. Anyway, but yeah, I definitely agree. It's kind of creepy. I hate being tugged by the leg, especially when people do it to me kiddingly. But then, yeah, so the girl feels a tug on her leg. She wakes up and she's like, "What the hell was that?" And then I think she is terrified to look over the bed. So she's kind of hesitating, kind of looking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until I feel like she has a really bad feeling about it. And then suddenly she moves her head underneath the bed, looks around shakingly, and then through the bed underneath, she does see the door swing open. So she is literally scared shitless and tells Nancy to wake the fuck up.
Yeah.
And then Nancy is not believing her, and just like there's someone behind the door. The thing that I wish that they did with this film is that we saw through her POV what she was looking at. So all we saw was darkness. And it seemed like there were times that we were gonna get like a hint of what she was looking at, but it just never showed in the
Funny enough,
sense.
I kind of like the fact that they don't show it, because it's like,
Yeah.
because it's one of those things where like it leaves it up to the imagination of like, what the fuck is this thing, like what does it look like, what about it is so creepy.
You just see me like kind of looking at the TV like expected to see like a pair of eyes or something.
Mm.
Like that was literally me the entire time. I'm like, I don't remember this part of the movie. And then, I'm just wishing that we can see a little bit of her obstacles for like a second to see
Mm.
what she's dealing with. And, tells Nancy, there's someone over there. Nancy's like, you're full of shit. Well, not really, but, tries to calm her nerves, goes over to the door, and
Gets the
tells her there's
smell
nothing there.
and gets the smell of
Yeah.
rotting meat again.
And then she's like, there's literally nothing here. And then suddenly the door just wax literally close. And they're screaming. Mom, dad, and everybody else is trying to come in the house, not in the house, but in the room, screaming their head off. And then they struggle to open the door. They leave it open, and then, of course, the dad is comforting his daughter, and then she says, "There was someone over there." Then also hears a voice that it wants my whole entire family dead. So we love hearing that. We love hearing those
Oh yeah,
voices,
we do.
especially over
It's
going all through things inside our houses. But yeah.
oh yeah, it's terrific. It's definitely what you want to hear when you move into a new house.
Yeah, it's like it's a home sweet home. We love that. When you're on the family dead, great. So you start tomorrow.
Thanks, appreciate that. But anyway, after that is I think a couple of days have passed, and the father gets a call, and he's being sent on a rather long truck route. Of all places, he gets sent to Florida.
I hate it here. No, I'm kidding. Uh-huh.
And that
Yeah,
is literally when like it gets way worse.
absolutely.
Because like that's the moment where the mom is folding laundry, and she starts to hear somebody laughing, like a little kid laughing. And at first she thinks, oh, it's the girls are supposed to be asleep by now. It's like literally 3 o'clock in the morning. At the same time, I don't know why she's folding laundry at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Adult things,
Yeah,
aren't we
apparently.
all?
But then, she goes to check it out, and she checks on the girls. There's no activity. There's nothing going on there. Until the pictures and portraits that they had put on the stairs as you're going up, all of them come crashing down. All the glass breaks, and she hears the kid laughing again.
Oh my god,
And so she goes
I'm
down to
getting chills.
investigate and sees the door to the cellar opening. So she goes in there to check it out. But then the door of the cellar closes shut, and she falls down the stairs all the way into the cellar. And what is the like iconic moment from the film, where she lights the matches, trying to see what's down there. She hears the laughing again. She keeps, and then when the matches dry out, she gets the other one, and that's when she hears, "Do you want to play a game of hide and clap?" And we get our double clap.
Yeah, so it's
Oh man, that
definitely
is.
like a stamp of the movie, especially because it was premiered in the trailer. I guess this is the one moment everybody was kind of anticipating. So it was finally here. One of the worst kind of things that she has been experiencing, kind of thing. So yeah, she's been through hell and back.
Like straight up, that is. I think in like modern horror, that is one of them, like the most iconic scenes.
Yeah.
Like I would put it up there with like those scenes like in The Exorcist, like the spider walk, or like the thing where like when they see the dog, like alien hybrid creature for the first time, like those big shocking scenes.
The Conjuring is like The Exorcist. The essence is there, especially since they're dealing with a demon of some sorts, and having to deal with possession and all that other stuff. So, yeah, it's literally just a modern day Exorcist, for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. But anyway, I think it is time for you to take I pass the baton on to you, so you get to explain the next few scenes that we go through.
What was next? I forget. Just watched the
Uh,
movie and I'm terrible at putting things chronologically. I'm terrible.
the next thing is when the mom goes to the lecture and like talks to them. So that's when the
Yeah,
Warrens go
yeah,
to the hospital
that's what I
comes out.
thought it was next.
Yeah.
But I was like, wait, is that next? Like, I can't tell. So we finally get to see a insight of Ed and Lorraine Warren's life, a little bit more in depth of the things that they actually go through demon possessions and them doing actual exorcisms. Well, they don't perform the exorcisms, but they assist during them, and then they get all sorts of questions from students. And it's weird because I wonder why the mom was there, because it just seemed like a university kind of setting. I don't think she was at a church, but
No, I think it was more of like
was it?
when you can
It was like,
go when you could go to a college to go see a guest speaker.
yeah,
I think it was kind of like one of those things where like I think just regular people could go because I remember in that crowd scene there was an old lady as well. Which
yeah.
fun fact, that was actually Lorraine Warren.
Oh,
Yeah. So she's in the
yeah.
movie.
Oh, damn. To go back and watch it. Damn, I'm gonna have to go sit through that again. No, I'm kidding. I love it. It's just the adrenaline scare that still gets to me, you know. But yeah, so finally it kind of sparks within the mom to like, hey, I should talk to them about my problem. At first they were very hesitant. They like, oh, there must be a rational explanation what's happening to you. Then she's like, please take a look at my house, kind of thing. And then, Lorraine kind of sensed that this woman really needed their help, so Lorraine finally agrees. They go, they bring well, no, it was just them two
Yeah.
during that time. They meet the girls, they meet the father, they start explaining everything that has been going on, but then they're brought to the cellar, and Lorraine Warren starts feeling and hearing things that has happened terribly in the cellar, and then he tells her husband something terrible has definitely happened in this house. I just don't know what it is. And then they definitely start talking about a possibility of an exorcism, or just basically things that they may have to do to cleanse the house. And then there is another iconic scene in the movie, I feel like, where Lorraine Warren is outside. She is taking in, like, basically the scene, or basically the scenery. But it's more like a thinking of, like, there's a lot of bad shit that has happened here. I don't know what to expect. The husband comes out, I think tries to talk to her, but then lo and behold, right behind the husband, she starts looking up. There is dangling fruit right in front of, behind of her husband, and it is the witch that hung herself
Yeah,
in
that's such a
the.
creepy image too. Just like his face, he doesn't know what's going on, and then just seeing those dirty, nasty, ugly looking legs just dangling next to him.
Yeah, and then she starts flipping out, kind of thing. Not flipping out, but she's like genuinely terrified. And then once they finally go back inside the house to talk to the family more in depth of what they have to do, she explains to the family that she has seen the actual entity that's actually latching onto their family, which she has seen it behind her daughters, her husband, the mother, and it's just it's one of those stages in the possession where it's already latched on to the family, and it's just what it's doing right now is definitely tame, but it could. They do warn them that it could get worse, but the next step is that they need to grab enough evidence to be able to take to the priest to be able to approve an exorcism. So it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I will say this. One of the things I really like about this scene, like that scene specifically, is also getting to see how much the Warrens know about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
because they're explaining, like when the family's talking about the stuff that they've noticed or like the things that they're witnessing, like the smell of rotting meat. They're like, oh, that usually accompanies demonic activity. The whole thing when like the doors of the house kept opening and closing, but it was always three knocks,
Yeah, it's
and
a
they're like, oh
mocking of the
yeah, like
Trinity.
yeah, the mocking of the Holy Trinity. Like it just shows that they know about this kind of stuff, which I thought was really cool.
That's making my skin crawl. Ugh. It's a good kind of skin crawl, but kind of. But yeah, so there's a lot for the Warrens to do, and it's definitely gonna be a bumpy ride from here on out.
Yep.
So I think they finally the next day comes, and I think they grab like one of the. I think it was like an assistant, or
Oh,
it's like
Yeah, Drew.
like the assistant that comes in and does their paranormal activities. You can tell that he's done a shit ton of them with them, and he's just unfazed.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like a new deputy in town, and then he kind of mocks him like, "Oh, so you're the lucky one,
I
just
I
so you
love that
know,
guy. I love that character.
ghosts don't carry guns." And I literally think that Drew is literally like the comedic relief in this couple of scenes
Yeah.
for sure. And it just brings a little bit of light to the film. I wonder if the real Drew was actually like that. Um,
Oh, we forgot to mention the scene where the Warrens are back home and they talk about the research that they did on the property,
oh
where
yeah,
they
yeah,
find
yeah.
out, that the place was owned back in the 1800s by this woman named Bathsheba, who was related to
Or
Mary something Esty,
yeah,
who was
something
like one of
around them.
who was like one of the women that was hung during the Salem witch trials.
Yeah.
And it just listening to that story is so creepy because like according to what they found, the Bathsheba's husband comes home from work one day and sees Bathsheba in front of the fireplace sacrificing their baby. And she then this
Mother of the Year.
and this woman then proceeds to run up to the tree in front of the lake, like by the back of the house, proclaims her love for Satan, and then hungs herself. Oh, and also curses anybody who enters her land.
Yeah. So you find out a lot of shit,
Yeah.
basically. Definitely. I think it's. I wonder if. Well, it has to be true if Lorraine Warren, the actual Lorraine Warren, approved of the script and helped
Hmm.
film it, and the fact that the demon who had to deal with all that crazy hauntings is after another kind of Bible-esque name, kind of like Bathsheba, is really crazy to me.
Yeah.
But it makes more all the merry, all these songs, all these characters more creepy to
Yeah.
me.
And
I
there's
think.
also that little it's a teeny tiny little thing, but it's when they're trying to review the tape from when they interviewed the family, and it does not pick up the mom's audio at all. And then the tape recorder
Uh,
starts playing on its own, and they start hearing like
mhm.
demonic growling and stuff, and I'm like, that's so creepy. Like I don't know what I would do if I was recording something and I picked up that kind of audio, and I'd be like, yeah, no, like this audio is cursed. I'm re-recording this whole thing. I'm not doing this.
I wonder if when they filmed that scene, if they used the original audio, or if the audio even recorded at all because of that recording. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Yeah, it just makes me wonder.
So I just realized we forgot to mention one thing, and going back a little bit, it's that scene where the mom gets locked up in the cellar. We also at one point cut back to the older daughter, and she notices her sister is sleepwalking again. And when she goes to like take her back, she's like, "Okay, you can sleep with me in my bed tonight, so like I'll keep you safe and that kind of stuff." And that's when the youngest, like her younger sister, looks up at the top of the closet, and she's like, "There's something up there." And when the older sister looks, that's when we get our first like official look at Bathsheba. and
Yeah.
she is wow.
Terrifying. She
She's
is
something else.
terrifying.
She is, yeah, she is like a nightmare. Like everyone,
It's,
like I keep like I'm picturing it right now, and I'm like, I don't want to think about that.
yeah. It's she's definitely a character, but she was definitely a character.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, that's how much we forget things. We drink and we forget things, and we also forget things because we were scared and we don't want to think about it. But hey, for
exactly.
the sake of the podcast, we have to. But yeah, so I think now we play catch up.
Yeah, so at this point we had that montage you were explaining regarding when they start setting up everything to document the evidence, where they set up the cameras, they get the UV lights out and that kind of stuff. So, I do like that little montage because it's just like super just normal stuff with like the
Yeah,
awesome song, like that awesome song that plays in the background.
yeah. I think
Um,
the camera work in that scene was kind of great.
oh, it was great. The
Yeah.
whole cinematography in the movie is amazing.
hmm
Like whoever
But
shot
in
the
the
movie did.
beginning of the movie, did feel like in the beginning, it really did feel like I was watching like an old film, like but through or like someone else's tape recorder of like back in the '60s. It was really weird. I liked it. No. Yes, continue.
But then, yeah, that's where we have our first like couple of nights where nothing is really happening. Um,
Yeah.
and it usually happens in these types of movies where they're like, okay, we got to get our evidence, but of course, immediately they run into a roadblock where they're like, nothing is happening. Now, what do we do? Um,
Yeah.
until eventually, of course, Brad, who is the police officer, starts hearing voices, and he goes outside of the house and like doesn't see anything. So he's like, all right, screw that, I'm going back in. And that's when he gets stopped again because he sees a lady dressed up as a maid, and she says, look what she made me do. And she shows her wrist, and she has her wrist slit.
Yeah, and it just what is kind of weird to me in this sense is that this was kind of like in a kitchen esque type of setting, but there was like laundry clothes all over the
Yeah, it
place.
was a little weird.
But then, she's like, "Look what she made me do," and then he starts flipping out and calling out to Warren and Lorraine, and then she gets at him. She's at the floor. They come in, and the clothes are still there for the laundry, which I feel like it was a little weird choice of cinematography. I feel
Yeah, I think it
like for
was.
set. I feel
Yeah,
like it's meant to be there for like that scene to represent the outside, and then it's supposed to disappear after she has basically come at him. But it's the fact that it was still there after that entire thing, I'm like,
yeah.
does the family do that?
I
Like,
don't know. I will say this. I do like that scene where the maid ghost comes at him. Every time I see it, I'm like, why does that feel like a scare from Horror Nights? Because like he's walking back, and that's when she just pops out of the side and gets like up close and personal with him. And like I don't know why. Every time I see that, it just feels like I'm watching a scare actor pop out of a boo hole at somebody.
yeah. Which makes me think like they still haven't done a Conjuring house,
No,
and
I know it's been
that's
rumored for a really long time too. But like
yeah. But
they
I
they
feel
keep
like they
having
haven't
they keep having issues
issues.
with the rights, yeah, because originally where they had like the Bloomhouse house a couple years ago, that was supposed to be
Yeah.
Conjuring,
Mm.
which is why like that house was kind of like bare bones because they had to do everything in their last minute. Because
Oh
like they were
fuck.
like they had it almost locked in for Conjuring, and then something happened with the rights where they were pulled at the last minute, so they had to scramble. But
Something.
but anyway, um, and that's when we get our big scene of like that's when they gather the evidence where they see the girl sleepwalking again, and then she disappears into the cellar,
Bedroom.
or into the
Yeah.
bed, yeah, into the closet in the bedroom, sorry, into the closet in the bedroom, and then she disappears.
Yeah.
And that's when they find out that there's a crack in or behind the closet, like in between the two walls, and they find her there, and of course they're like, okay, we got to see what this is. We got to see what this leads. So Lorraine takes the extra brave steps that I would never take. Goes in there and actually falls through that floor. It goes all the way down into the cellar.
I hate everything. I hate everything. I hate everything. Yeah.
And that's when she sees another one of the ghosts. I think it was Rory's mom. It says the same thing. Look what she made me do.
Yeah.
And then we get Bathsheba's dirty, ugly, nasty, dangly feet again.
Yeah. And then she just kind of nicely floats towards Lorraine.
I hate that part. I hate that part so much. It's like her legs just like start slowly turning towards Lorraine. I'm just like, Lorraine, get out of there, please.
Yeah, so it takes a bit. Then she basically runs for the hills kind of thing. Not actually for the hills, but you know what I'm saying. And then during that occurrence, we also do get the supernatural occurrence of one of the daughters getting her hair pulled.
And dragged across the floor like a rag doll.
Quite literally. So after Lorraine has her little spooky spook with Bathsheba, she grabs the scissors, cuts her hair, and they're like, we're done for the night. We actually got our evidence kind of thing.
Let's take this to the church.
Let's get this bread. The body of Christ. No, I'm kidding. But that's awful.
And also, this is when when Bathsheba is like, okay, you guys are gonna come after me. I'm gonna come after you, because that's when she attacks Judy.
Oh yeah.
And like possesses.
But actually, that's before that.
Is it? I thought it was after like that big occurrence.
No, it was after the church. Because they take the evidence
to
the priest, and then they're like, "Is this some serious shit?" I'm like, "No shit," and he's like, "Oh, has to go through the Vatican because the kids aren't baptized," and then they were like, "No, like this shit's serious. Like we need the blessing or the permission or what have you now," and then he's like. Basically, I'll push it through. I'll see what I can do. I think not super helpful at all. And then I feel like I think after that, I think that's when that whole shebang happens with the daughter.
Yeah.
Then when they go back to the house and they kind of tell them what the priest says, and then she's outside. She's just chilling, and then she just sees her daughter in the water, and flips out. Calls the nana. And tells her to check on Judy. Judy is fine, but then finally tells her husband, this is a warning sign. She's going to come after Judy, that kind of thing. That's when Bathsheba...
Also when we learn exactly what it is that Bathsheba does. So, like, she possesses the mother to kill the child. And then kills herself.
Very nice. Very, very nice. So I think they suggest the family to get out of the house and go into a motel.
Yeah, but not before the mom gets possessed.
Yeah.
Which is also one of those really creepy scenes where they're like hanging laundry or whatever, and then like a piece of the laundry like falls off the line, and then it gets stuck on Bathsheba's body even though there's nothing there. And then the piece of laundry flies up to the window where the mom's room is, and then when it falls off in the window, you see Bathsheba.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I think it was Lorraine Warren that actually saw it.
Yeah, it was Lorraine.
Lorraine, and because then she saw it, that she saw Bathsheba, and she ran up, and then we see Bathsheba on top of the mother, puking blood into her lovely throat.
She's spewing possession Gatorade on her.
Possession Gatorade. I'm screaming. Possession Gatorade.
That's the hashtag for this episode. Possession Gatorade.
Possession Gatorade. Yo, I need that. Steve Cream got nothing on Possession Gatorade. Anyway, so yeah, and Lorraine is like checking up on the mom, like, oh my god, like, are you okay? And she's like, nah, just a little nauseous, but I'm good. And I'm like, girl, you look rough.
You are not
You-
good.
no, you just literally. I don't think the possession Gatorade helped you at all.
It's like you are as far from good as it gets.
Absolutely. So after that, I think they finally suggest for them to leave out of the house.
Yeah.
So this is probably the only time the mother can escape the house. But she does go back to the hotel with them, with the girls. Everything's good, Gucci. And then the Lorraine and Warren, or the Warrens, I should start calling them that now, go back home. But then the daughter has a lovely encounter with her favorite friend and Bathsheba, which is great. When she wakes up, and I think someone also grabs her by the leg. She wakes up.
Yeah.
She is like, Mom, Dad, stereotypical. I'm calling out for help, but I know that this only me and the demons. Hello, it's your boy, kind of thing. And she goes towards the stairs, goes downstairs where like I think it's like a office kind of thing.
It's like their little museum room or whatever it is. Yeah.
Museum room and all that stuff. And then I think she encounters some noises, and then she's trying to escape the noises, kind of thing, like footsteps, kind of thing. And then finally she freaks out. She goes into what looks like a little tiny little reading room with a rocking chair there, and she locks herself there. She's crying out for dear life, and then she sees Annabelle on the lap of the lovely Bathsheba. She's rocking her chair, calmly combing her hair. I'm like, yo, that hair's in a braid. What are you brushing? Anyway, so then we see the lovely Annabelle doll turn its creepy little head towards the little girl, and then she's crying out. Nana wakes up. Nana's trying to save little Judy, and then the mom and dad are coming home, and they're trying to rush. And then, Nana can't get the door open, so she's flipping out. It's a nice time. Finally, mom and dad comes home. Then the rocking chair actually turns. And it feels like it's about to launch at this girl. I'm like, yo, this girl's literally had the splinter in the worst way possible. Like,
and honestly, it does. That rocking chair shoots out like it's a fucking velocicoaster. Like it just shoots out at her as fast as it can.
Yeah. So daddy opens up the door, and the hair goes straight towards her, but obviously misses. It hits the edge, and they kind of see that as oh shit, this is a warning. We like basically she's about to do something, so he's like, I'm gonna go back to the house. And then this is when more cheesy lines of Lorraine kind of go like, we do this together. God has brought us together for a reason. It's like.
Yeah, well, that's when they get the call too from the husband from the dad, who says, oh, the mom, like, I can't remember her name. I think it was, I don't remember the mom's name, but she's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, she took the kids. I think she's taking them back to the house. So that's when
yes.
Like, okay, we gotta go. We gotta get this shit straightened out.
So they go, the Warrens to the rescue. And, of course, the dad follows right behind the older girls stay behind at the hotel, or motel, sorry. But they, Holiday Inn. And they go, and then we see they're trying to go in the house as quickly but as swiftly and as not noticeable as possible. But then they see that the cellar, I think, is open. and they hear screaming, and they go, and the lovely mother has a knife to her daughter, ready to slitty slit.
Yeah.
It's not a good time.
No,
So
they catch her like in the middle of going in for the kill. So
yeah,
luckily they get there like just in time. They pull her back. They take the knife out of her hands, and they manage to try to hold her down. Of course, at this point she's like hella strong. So
oh
like she starts
yeah.
knocking these people around like there's no tomorrow. And of course Drew is there with them, and so is the police officer, because
Hmm.
one of the girls hid away. So Drew is like, okay, I'm gonna go find her. While all this is going on, eventually they do manage to get the mom into a chair, all tied up, and then they put a sheet over her. I think it was.
But before that, they said Ed Warren did tell Lorraine to go call the priest or get him, and then or they're gonna bring the mother to
Oh
him.
yeah, when they try to bring the mother
And
out.
then when they try to bring the mother out, she is burning the hell up. Like, and this is more than just bruises. This is just like her skin is being torn the freak up. Fresh flesh kind of thing. Nothing too gruesome, but definitely something that was hurting her. And then they
Hmm.
realized that they can't take her out because if they do take her out, Bathsheba is gonna just end it with her and just she has her sacrifice.
Yeah.
So they kind of give up. They bring her back down and they tie her up to a chair.
Yep. And that's when Ed is like, "Damn, I think I might have to do this exorcism myself."
Yeah.
And this
I
is
was like,
like,
damn.
yeah. And I honestly, I think
Like,
this is where like that actor, I think his name is Patrick Wilson. I think that's when where like his best moment in the movie, like when he's gonna do the exorcism, and you can tell that this man is terrified because he's never done an exorcism before. Like
yeah.
obviously,
So
he's the great Ed Warren and all that stuff, but when it comes down to it, he's never done that before, and he is scared shitless.
yeah, he's like, well, there's no better ideas, so I have to do
Yep.
what's best, kind of thing. So yeah, Lorraine and Ed Warren start the procedure of the Exorcist. And yeah, things start happening, crazy, everything imaginable in the book.
Yep. Especially like
Drew is trying to.
Ed is like, oh, reveal your true nature, demon, and Bathsheba's face rips open the veil and like pops out, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, what's up? I'm
Jesus
here.
Christ.
Yeah, it's terrifying. And then chair turns upside down. April is still nowhere to be
I
found,
don't like that
kind of
part. I
thing.
don't like
And
that part
then
when the chair goes upside down, so it's like hitting the ceiling. I'm like, I don't like this. Like, stop.
it's. I thought when he's like, like put her down, and I'm like, you really want her to drop her, like on her head, quite literally, like. But it didn't actually happen that way. It
Like,
just kind
knock the
of
demon out.
knocked the mother out, knocked the mother and the demon out.
Yeah.
Two birds with one stone.
Yeah, and
So
then oh, I'm sorry, continue.
I'll go.
So then
You
this is
go.
when I think that's when the chair kind of drops and it breaks open. So Bathsheba's like, "Oh shit, it's time for me to go ham again." And so she starts attacking. She takes a fucking bite out of the police officer's face, and then also controls the shotgun to try and shoot Ed.
Oh my god. Yeah. And she is not having it. She's just like, I will do whatever it takes to literally ruins y'all's lives. But then she hears like a little dog treat as soon as Drew
Like a little dog treat. Oh my god.
Drew says, I found the child, and she's like, like,
Literally, it's almost like a demon scratch. Like,
yeah, she's like, child, a
and
treat.
believe me, when this demon books it, like it almost even gets to like on all fours, and she's like, I'm going after this kid.
Yeah, so I think this was probably the most creepiest part of the entire film because she crawls through whatever crevice she goes through. I wonder how much like acrobatics or like anything that woman had to go through to be able to do all that shit.
I wonder.
Especially, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's all the magic of special effects, but there had to be some work done there, especially if you're trying to mimic someone's moves and being able to do all that. So it's definitely a very creepy character. So.
Yeah. And then that's when we get to like our big climax when she's like right in front of the girl, but Lorraine is able to grab her forehead and she's like, "Remember who you're fighting for." It's like remember that day at the beach with your family, and like literally
You said it was the most perfect thing.
Yeah, like literally this woman is so strong that she's able to like get this demon out of her.
Yeah. But then Ed Warren says, like, I condemn you to hell kind of thing. And then this is where we see a little bit more of the mom come out and the demon is basically having this internal fight. And I think it was a little too cheesy for me when the white light, I was like, whoa, listen.
Jesus,
like, we all wish... Jesus, yeah, like, are you saying that Lorraine Warren is Jesus? What? So, yeah, then, it starts going ham, and Bathsheba, the only thing that I'm confused is, like, where exactly Bathsheba went.
She went back
because
to hell.
she went back to hell, but don't they actually all, like, seal it up and through an artifact?
I think that one they kind of just keep as like kind of like as a trophy, because after everything, after Bathsheba is taken back to hell, all the ghosts are able to rest. So there's really nothing that they can get attached to. So I think they just keep it kind of as like a trophy of like what they had to go through.
Yeah. So anyway, Mother's fine. She is wondering what the fuck happened. She looked like she had a rough night in Vegas.
She definitely does.
So then she realizes that she almost harmed her child. So she's like apologizing. Big family moment at the end when they all hug and the evil's finally gone kind of thing. And we see Ed and Lorraine Warren just hugging, and the little girl, April, gives them the locket that the daughter gave to the mom. But it was the silver locket. It was the one the mom originally. So I'm gonna assume that's the artifact, I guess. In a sense.
No, it was the mom. Like
no, it was the locket.
It was Lorraine's locket, but that her daughter had made for her. The one that had like a picture of her daughter. So she's like, "Oh, so you can remember me wherever you go." Yeah. It's just that scene where Lorraine gets stuck in the cellar. She gets it caught.
Yeah. My bad. I assumed there was the other one, but never mind.
But yeah, then we get our cute little happy ending where the evil's gone, the family's back together, and everything is okay.
Yeah. So they finally, take the artifact. Oh, the artifact was the music box.
Music box, yeah.
There it is. So they take it back. They take it to their little museum, and then what literally made me giddy and all that stuff, like a little girl, because I've actually been there, is when they talk about a haunting that they're to check out in Long Island, which is Amity. And that's when I started getting like a little girl, because I've actually seen the house, and they purposely changed the address so nobody can go visit it, but it still appears as official. But you just have to be really quick with it. You have to like take the picture real quick, like from afar, and then leave and book it, because if you're there too long, they will call officials. You will get fined. It is not a nice, not a nice place, because there's actually people who live there, with the DeFeo's family kind of thing. So I kind of had like a little nerdy true crime moment there. True crime kind of. Demon possession, the gist of it. But yeah, then at the end we see them commemorating the original case files of the actual parents haunting. So
Yeah. So we see like pictures of like the real people and like the real Warrens and stuff like that.
girls
Now,
are really young.
now I don't remember if it was in this one. I think it might, or if it was in the second one. I think it was the second one where you like hear the audio of like one of the interviews. That I think that was the second one.
I think that was the second one because I don't
Yeah.
recall the. Yeah.
But anyway. But yeah, that is The Conjuring in a nutshell. That is a really good movie. It's a really tense, scary movie.
Yeah. So yeah, I suggest watching it in the daytime. Don't do be like me and watch it in the nighttime. Now you have to watch something nice and happy and all that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and actually, before we call this thing an episode, I did have one last little bit of trivia that I forgot to mention. I forgot to put in our notes on here, but Bathsheba is played by a man. The name of this man is Joseph Bishara. So Joseph Bishara is kind of like a part of that whole universe apparently because he he is also the man who made the music for the movie. And then in Insidious, he was the lipstick face demon.
Oh, very nice,
And he
very
also made
nice.
the music for Insidious.
Oh, nice.
So
That is
like
so
he's
cool.
very connected to like that universe.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I never knew that. So it's like Bathsheba. Then the lipstick demon is the one with the in the red, right?
Yeah.
So it's like window, the window, the window, the
Yeah,
window,
the demon that has like a huge fetish for Tiny Tim.
with me. But that house was so good, Insidious. Oh my
Yeah.
god! Wait, that's crazy. They got the rights for Insidious, but not for Conjuring. Make it make sense.
I
Make
think
it make sense.
I think it has to do because it is the same company. It's still a Blumhouse movie. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think it actually has something to do with the writers of the movie. They were like, I don't know how it feels like we
Well,
have the
if it's
rights
a
to it.
Blum, no. Well, Blumhouse owns Insidious, right?
Yes, they do.
But Warner Brothers owns Conjuring.
That is true. Yeah,
So
that
that
is true. I
Warner
forgot about
Brothers
that. Yeah.
could be anal. And Warner Brothers are probably the ones being anal
Yeah,
right now.
that's very true. I forgot about that.
But not only did they give the rights to Beetlejuice, they also gave them to The Exorcist. They gave Exorcist to Howling Hornets at one point. And yeah, that's very like very limited movies that they have given to Universal and The Shining, Shining too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm thinking
So
it probably has
that's
something
only
to do
three
with.
movies.
Yeah, I'm probably thinking it has something to do with how protective they are of the rights and also like the ins and outs of the contracts. Like, sure we can give you this IP, but like, what are you gonna give us in return? Type thing. Like, are you just gonna give us money for it, or do we get like a cut of the merchandise that has those movies featured? Like, if you buy, if you were to buy a Conjuring shirt at Horror Nights, do they get a cut of those profits? Type of thing.
Yeah, and also Trick or Treat too,
Trick or Treat is a
and
Warner Brothers movie, really?
Warner Brothers. Yeah,
I honestly I thought that was like an independent movie. I had no idea it was attached to Warner Brothers.
is it? I mean, it kind of was, but at the same time, it is attached to Warner
Hmm.
Brothers. So a lot of the things that were speculated for Halloween Horror Nights that was Warner Brothers was of course The Conjuring, as we talked about,
And it.
and of course, and Gremlins.
That's true.
But Gremlins is very far fetched, and also another rumor that is also circling around in the community right now is Creepshow, 1982 Creepshow,
Which I would love to
also Warner
see.
Brothers. Yeah.
I would love to see Creepshow as a house.
Yeah, so I think it's very interesting how HHN at Home is very creep show based. Like as if last year it was more Bride and Beetlejuice, and this year the
Hmm.
theme is more creep show. Maybe HHN or Horror Night Nightmares know something that we don't, especially basing it off a creep show. But we'll
Possibly,
see,
possibly.
possibly. Yeah.
But
So
anyway, that is our episode for today. So
yeah.
before we leave you, we're gonna do our basic housekeeping stuff, and we're gonna start with you, Vania. So where can you be found?
You can find me on Twitter and on YouTube on HHN Poultice. I do makeup looks, I do vlogs, I do informative videos based on horror films, Halloween Horror Nights, and all things haunts too. I'm also trying to upload more often, so please come and support me. But we also have some more interesting people on this podcast, just like my co-host, Yussef. Where can we find you?
Yes. So, I can be found for the podcast. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. On Twitter, we are at Sounds or at Grave Sounds, and on Instagram, we're just Sounds from the Grave. Same as on Facebook. And then we're podcast wise, you can listen to us on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and pretty much anywhere else you can get your podcast from.
Yeah, and we're also doing lots of Resident Evil 8 streaming. So go to our YouTube and
Yes.
do that stuff.
Yes, I've been having a really good time playing that, and let's just say for the next episode, actually no, for the last episode that came out before this podcast episode released, I am no longer simping as hard for Lady Dimitrescu. If you watch the video, you will know
What
why.
happened?
Oh, if you
Oh
watch the video,
God.
you will know why.
Oh God.
Let's just say
Oh,
I got her pretty mad at me,
oh
and
no.
yeah, it's not as fun anymore.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. But anyway, outside of that, if you're for my personal stuff, you can find me on Instagram at Yusef1220 and on my Twitter at itbeyusef.
Yep.
But
So
yeah, that's
all of
our
our cool stuff.
episode.
Yeah, so go watch The Conjuring 3. We will probably, later on at a later date, we will probably cover Conjuring 2, which I believe
Oh yeah,
covers Amity.
it
I
covers a
could be
little
wrong.
bit of Amity. Yeah.
A little bit of Amity, but yeah, no, that stuff. So,
Ooh, also,
that's
actually,
enough.
before we head out, I did forget to mention one last thing. That is, we do have an email now. It is soundsfromthegravepodcast@gmail.com. So if you have any suggestions or you want to let us know about something, just send us an email or send us something on Twitter, send us something on Instagram. And the big one too, if you want to be a guest on the show, do not be afraid to reach out to us. We would be more than happy to have you on and squeeze you in and have you talk about something horror related that you are very, very passionate about.
Literally anything, anyone. I mean, anything that you're passionate about, of course.
Yeah.
We're also willing to talk to anybody in the community, in the horror community in general. So please reach out.
But yep, that's our last little beat I wanted to say there. So with that, we bid you good night.
And definitely don't play hide and clap,
No.
especially at this hour or
Uh,
whatever time you're playing.
Whenever. Yeah, just don't play it. Period. But
All right,
anyway,
guys, have a good night.
stay spooky,
Yes.
everybody.